Welcome to Squat and Push Practice 1. Today we're going to be learning the mechanics of how to properly squat as well as push. We're going to start off at the top of your mat with some joint mobility, starting off with some neck tilts. So relax the arms down by your side, drop the right ear to the right shoulder, and then slowly drop the left ear to the left shoulder. And start to go back and forth a few times. Just creating a little bit of space and length in the area of our necks where we keep and hold a lot of tension and stress. Then go ahead and relax. We'll go into some Egyptians here to warm up the shoulders. So bring the arms out by your side like a T, palms facing up, and then bring the stance a little bit wider. And then as we go to rotate towards the right palm, bring your left palm down, pivot the feet, slight bend in the knees. And then we're going to rotate to the left, pivot the feet to the left, and then we're going to go back and forth here. So you're always facing a palm that's pointed up towards the sky, getting big external rotation in the front shoulder as you get big internal rotation of the back shoulder. And one more time on each side. Good, and from here we're going to go into some single leg hip circles. So bring the feet underneath the hips. And then all you're going to do is just start to draw a circle with the knee clockwise. You can bring the hands on the hips if you'd like to, and then go ahead and reverse that direction, just creating a little synovial fluid and lubrication in the hip sockets. And then go ahead and switch sides. And if you fall out of it, just get right back up. This is also going to help work on your balance and stability on a single leg. And then go ahead and reverse that direction. Good, and from here we're going to go into some body weight squats, into some hip prying. So go ahead and bring the feet wider than hip width, slightly point the feet away from one another so the hips are externally rotated. From here we're going to use the arms as a counterbalance. So inhale as you push the hips back, squatting down as you reach the arms ahead. And then exhale as you press to stand, squeezing the glutes at the top. Inhale as you press down, squat down, push the hips back, and then exhale as you press to stand. And keep going here for about 20 more seconds. Inhaling as you lower, exhaling as you stand. Notice that the knees aren't collapsing inwards as you press to rise. Notice that you're keeping a little bit of extension in the chest and keeping the spine as vertical as possible. One more rep here, and then we'll go into some hip prying. So everybody go ahead and lower one more time. And this time we're going to stay down here. Bring the elbows to the inner thighs, and then bring the palms together. From here, go ahead and press the palms into one another a little bit more. And all you're going to do is just rock a little bit side to side. And if the heels start to come up a little bit, that's okay. And then just making some circles with the hips in one direction, and then circles in the other direction. And then go ahead and come back to center. Brace the midsection, and as we come to stand here, we want to make sure that the hips are ascending with the shoulders. So take an inhale, brace. As you exhale, press the feet into the floor to stand. Full extension of the hips at the top, and then shake out the legs a little bit, and we'll transition to tabletop here. So from here, we're going to practice our floating tabletop. So make sure that the wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders, your knees are underneath the hips, and then tucking the toes here. And then if you want to bring the knees up just about an inch or so closer to the wrists, do so. From here, the back of the neck is going to stay long, and the eyes are going to be about fingertip level between the hands. Go ahead and float the knees off of your mat just about a centimeter, or high enough so somebody could slide a piece of paper underneath there, and continue to breathe here. Notice that you're packing the shoulders away so those didn't elevate up into the ears, but you're still drawing them down and back. Let's hold that for 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower the knees back down. Take a few breaths and we'll reload for rep number 2. Ready, set, and float the knees up and off. Again, just barely high enough to slide a piece of paper underneath the knees. Notice you're still breathing. The neck is still nice and long, so that's not dropping down. For 3, 2, 1, and relax back down. And one more time here. Let's go ahead and float the knees up. And then notice where you're feeling tension, if you're feeling tension in the midsection. You're still bracing there. You're softening the shoulders down the back and ever so slightly drawing the palms and the heels of the hands towards the feet to create a little more tension in the midsection. And go ahead and softly lower back down. Continue to stay in that quadruped position, tabletop, and then we're going to go ahead and go into some quadruped rocks. Just to practice the squatting motion, go ahead and open up the knees and then slightly open up the feet. So the knees are going to be a little bit wider than the ankles. From here, you're going to maintain that neutral spine and that flat back. Take an inhale as you shift the hips back in space. And then exhale, using the lats to draw yourself back forward, pulling yourself forward so that the shoulders go beyond the fingertips. And then again, rocking right back. And then rocking again forward, using the lats to help pull the body forward. And 2 more times here. Notice that the belly's not falling to the floor. You're not in hyperextension. And you just want to rock back far enough to where that tailbone doesn't start to tilt down towards the floor. One more time, pressing the hips back, opening up the hip sockets, and then pulling yourself forward slowly so that the shoulders come just beyond the fingertips. Good. Go ahead and relax there. Bring the knees back underneath the hips, and we'll stretch out the tops of the feet and ankles for a second. So tops of the feet flat. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and lift and elevate the hips up towards the sky, stretching out the tops of the feet, and then bringing the knees back down to the floor. And then again, lifting and elevating the hips up towards the sky, almost as if you're pressing the hips up in a downward facing dog, and then softening them back down. And 2 more times here, just stretching out the tops of the feet and giving a little ankle mobility. And then after your 4th rep, go ahead, softly lower the knees back down, tuck the toes, and back to our floating tabletop. We'll elevate in 3, 2, 1, and float the knees up and off. And then again, imagine as if you could draw the heels of the hands back towards the knee. You may even notice that you're shaking a little bit more, and that's a good thing. And let's go ahead and lower the knees down. Take a breath or 2, and then go ahead and elevate the knees up and off for number 2. And again, notice that the shoulders aren't coming up into the ears, but you're still softening them down the back. Notice James here, his neck is nice and long, so it's not hyperextended or it's not drawing forward. And go ahead and relax back down. And one more time, go ahead and float the knees up and off. Notice you've got even weight on the inside and the outsides of the hands as well here. You're still breathing, maybe even smiling down there. The jaw is relaxed, the face is relaxed. And go ahead and relax the knees back down. Open up the knees again beyond the width of your ankles, and we'll do the rocks one more time. Go ahead, take an inhale as you draw the hips back, as if you're sinking down into a squat. And then exhale, pull yourself back forward, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Shoulders go beyond the fingertips. And then again, rocking the hips back. Feeling like you're creating space in the hip sockets as you sink back, rocking forward. Just practicing the squatting motion from a quadruped stance. And then go ahead and come back to a neutral tabletop, knees underneath the hips. And one more time, we'll stretch out the tops of the feet. So go ahead and pike the hips up towards the sky, and then soften the knees back down. And then pike the hips up towards the sky, and soften the knees back down, still keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Good, and go ahead and relax here, and we'll set up for some modified push-ups. So, from tabletop, bring the knees back about a foot or so. And this is very similar to the active pulls that we did in hinge and pull practice 1. Bring the knees together, bring the feet and ankles together. This time we're going to practice pulling down as well as pressing back up. So making sure that the hips and the tailbone aren't sticking out, but you're engaging the glutes, creating a slight posterior tilt. Take an inhale as you pull yourself forward, and then exhale, press yourself back up. Inhale, pull yourself forward, making sure that the shoulders are staying away from the ears. Exhale, press yourself back up. And 2 more reps here. Inhale, pull yourself forward and down. And exhale, press yourself back up. 1 more time, pull yourself down. Glutes are engaged. And exhale, press yourself back up. And then go ahead and sit on the heels for a moment and take a breath. Check in with yourself. How did those feel? Did you notice that the shoulders were coming up into the ears, or did you feel like you were doing a good job keeping your shoulders packed throughout the duration of that movement? Let's go ahead and set up for set number 2. Bringing the hands back out in front, shoulders stacked over the wrist. And if you'd like to, you can widen the stance with the hands a little bit here. That'll give you a little more stability. Also maybe a little more room to pull yourself back down, especially for those that have more broad chests. So everybody together, go ahead, squeeze the glutes, brace your midsection, shoulders away from the ears. Take an inhale as you start to pull and lower down. And then exhale, press yourself back up. Inhale, pull yourself back down nice and slow, and exhale, press yourself back up, keeping these lats engaged. Inhale, pull yourself back down, and exhale, press yourself back up. And really engage those glutes here. Last rep, pull yourself down, exhale, press yourself back up. Go ahead and rock back, and then make your way up to the top of your mat in a standing position. And now we're gonna tie these 2 movements together here, doing a little circuit of some body weight squats and some modified push-ups. So we'll all start at the top of your mat, and then bring the feet, again, a little bit wider than hip width, just like those body weight squats we just practiced. So toes are pointed away from one another. Take an inhale as you sit and squat the hips back. Exhale, standing back up, squeezing the glutes at the top. Inhale, sitting down and back. Exhale, pressing back up. And continue to move here for about 30 more seconds. And you want to be focused on going with the rhythm of your breath. So coupling every movement with an inhale or an exhale. And using those arms just as a little counterbalance to help sit the hips a little further deeper and back. Deeper and back. Let's go for 5 more seconds here, maybe 1 or 2 more reps. And last rep here, you guys. And then go ahead and make your way down into the modified push-up, stacking your shoulders over your wrist. Feel free to bring the hands a little bit wider. And again, the index fingers can be parallel with one another or slightly pointed away. And then go ahead, engage the glutes, brace your midsection, pack the shoulders. Inhale as you pull yourself down to the floor. Exhale, press yourself back up. Inhale, pull yourself back down nice and slow, and exhale, press yourself back up. Notice the glutes are staying engaged. Inhale, pull yourself down nice and slow. Exhale, press yourself back up. 1 more rep. Inhale as you slowly lower, and exhale as you press back up. And go ahead and stand back up at the top of your mat, and we'll go back into the body weight squats. So again, opening up the feet wider than the width of the hips. And we're going for 30 seconds here, you guys. Ready? Let's go in 3, 2, and 1. Go for it. Using the arms as a counterbalance and taking it a little bit slower. Again, slower is better and is going to help build a lot more strength, especially as we start to practice and lay the foundation down for these movements. Adding speed to a movement is something that's a progression, and often we speed through movements as a compensation. So we want to take these movements as we're learning them very slow right now. Notice again The knees aren't collapsing inwards as James comes to stand, but it's almost as if he's spreading his feet across the floor trying to make that yoga mat rip. And one more, guys, here. And after your last squat, go ahead and transition back down to the top of the modified push-up. So establish your base with the hands. Engage the glutes. Brace your midsection. Pack your shoulders. And take an inhale as you lower yourself back down. And exhale, press yourself back up. Inhale as you lower everything down. Shoulders and hips are descending with one another. Exhale, press back up. And they ascend with one another as well. Inhale, pull yourself back down. Exhale, press yourself back up. And one more rep. Inhale, shoulders still remain away from the ears. Exhale, press yourself back up. And let's make our way back up for one more final round, starting with the squats. Opening up the feet a little bit wider than hip width. Ready, set, and begin. Inhale as you go down. Exhale as you come up. But if it feels more natural to exhale as you go down and inhale as you come up, feel free to do that as well. Usually movements of flexion are coupled with an exhalation, and movements of extension are coupled with an inhalation. But typically when we're doing squats, we're told to inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. But do whatever feels most natural for your body in this movement. And we're here for about 10 more seconds, you guys. Keep moving slow and focusing on fully extending the hips at the top and making sure that you're squeezing and engaging the glutes at the top. One more rep here. And go ahead and make your way back down to the modified push-ups for one more set. So legs are together, feet are together. Squeeze and engage the glutes. Bracing the midsection, shoulders are away from the ears. Go ahead, inhale as you pull yourself down to the floor. Exhale as you press back up. Inhale as you pull and lower slowly down. Exhale as you press back up. 2 more reps, you guys. Inhale, pull and lower down. Exhale, press yourself back up. One more time, your best rep right here, most controlled. Exhale, press yourself back up. Sit the hips back. Go ahead and make your way back up to the top of the mat. And you guys are all done with squat and push practice number 1. Great job. See you tomorrow for lunge and rotation practice number 1.